Welcome back, friends, to the zombie apocalypse. I'm Juniper, and today in Project Zomboid, I'm going to be showing you some tricks, or some tips, or just doing some stuff. We'll see. First one is going to be how to work with the vehicles. Once I turn this one on eventually. Doesn't really doesn't want to turn on. I'm going to back it up here. I should probably straighten it out a little bit more. There, that's good enough. Alright, I'm gonna turn this car off. So, something you might not know. When you're starting up the engine on a car, it sometimes takes several tries to turn over. And that comes down to this right here, the engine quality. Our dash bull driver here that we've been driving around for a long time is in good shape. However, the engine quality is only 48. What this means is that the lower this number, the more times you're going to have to turn over the engine to get it to actually start. So that's what that means. Second of all, the reason I'm over here picking up this car is because I'm going to attach them together so that I can tow. Not all cars can tow, but I believe all cars can be towed. And the way you bring up that context menu is you get here by the end and then you hold V, and it brings up this menu. So I have vehicle mechanics, enter vehicle, close trunk, etc. And I use this to attach. So it's already attached. Now I should be able to get in my car here, turn the engine on. That time it just took the one try. And now we're towing this car home. So what we're doing here is we're moving this one closer to home. This junk car, I'll call it, is really not that useful. And the reason I'm grabbing it and moving it around like this is because I'm going to use it to practice or, I'm going to use it to train my mechanic skill. What was just happening there is if you press V, that's how the user interface goes away. So I can press V here. Now the whole user interface is gone. You have to hold V in order to make that context menu appear. It can be a little bit tricky, but you get the idea. All right. What else? What else? My goal here is to run through some tips and some different things you might not know. Just casually as we're working through different stuff. One of them is you don't actually have to turn the engine off on your car. It will use gasoline if you leave your car running, but it's not going to use very much. You know, they could have changed it, but my understanding is you could leave it running all night and it's not going to go empty like it would in real life. All right, so let's take a look at this junk car here. This junk car is a Masterson Horizon. Its engine quality is 45, so it's even worse than our car. But it's got a whole bunch of different parts, some of which are in good condition. We're sitting down here with 0 mechanic skill, and so really the only thing that we can do to level up our mechanics is going to be to take the headlights out, like that, and then put the headlights back in, like that. That whole action right there got us 1.95 points for mechanics. So we'll do the same thing for the other headlight. And so, you get the idea. I'm not going to go through all the vehicle grinding here right now. But you get the idea. And you can't just do this over and over again like with the headlights. I think it's like a day or 2 or 3 in-game or something, and then you can get XP again from doing something like the headlights. That's the gist of it. the higher your mechanic skill gets, the more parts of the car you can take out and put back in, and the higher your success rate will be. This is called a zombie. Right here. And then the way you take care of this is you smack it. This is not a very opportune moment for that. So yeah, I'm going to be working on training up my mechanic skill at some point. Not entirely sure when I'm going to do that, but figured I'd move the car over anyway. Alright. Now you might ask, what is with this pile of junk on the ground? This pile of junk is all of the watches and different stuff that I've been collecting for dismantling for electrical experience. So right now we are at 10.95 points into electrical level 3, but we have a full boost because I finished up the book. So I'm going to pick all this junk up, and then I'm going to dismantle it all, and we're going to see just how much experience we end up getting. So far, we're doing pretty good. So, just going to speed up time here so we get through all these watches. All the watches gave us like 70 or so experience. Then if we take apart the cameras, that's a pretty fair amount also. That's like 100 total. Earbuds also gives experience. Headphones gives experience. All good stuff. We got 32 electronic scrap out of that deal, which is not something that's very valuable, but we have a lot of it. It's really only useful for repairing generators. But all that stuff we've been collecting only gave us, what, 103 experience, and we need 300 to get to electrical level 3. It can take a long time to level up electrical. Alright, next up is eat something. Okay, so what's next here? I think since I was talking about spears recently, we're going to do some crafted spear experimentation. So, how am I going to do this? I think the best way is going to be to grab a hunting knife. Do I have one in here? I think I do. No, I don't. I'm going to grab a hunting knife. Wrong shelf. Winged hunting knife? I just want a boring hunting knife. There we go, that'll do. Alright. So I've right-clicked on this hunting knife, and I'm going to create a spear, two spears, because I have 2 tree branches. The reason I'm right-clicking on this knife instead of on the tree branches, because you can do it here, is because I want to force it to use the hunting knife. I don't want it to use... Like, if I had a machete, I don't want it to use the machete, because a machete... It loses durability when you create a spear out of a knife. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click on this knife to make sure it uses that, and then I'm going to craft 2 crafted spears. Alright, there we go. We've got 2 crafted spears. Come on. Come on. Thank you. Put my hunting knife away. See, it lost durability there. Now we have 2 crafted spears. So I'm going to equip one of these in both my hands. And now we have a backup. And then we'll go ahead and we'll go fight some zombies. And I'll show you just how crafted spears work. And now, of course, I'm not using a blank character for this. I already have maintenance level 4. And I have spears level 2. So I already have a pretty significant advantage when it comes to spears. If you were starting out on a fresh character, you're not going to have the spears skill or the maintenance skill to really make good use of spears. So this isn't a great example, but I'll give it my best. We're going to come down here to the hotel, see if we can get the attention of a couple of zombies. There's a lot of things to be careful of when you are working with spears. And, apparently I attracted the attention of several. So one of which, the head stab animation on spears is quite dangerous. It can get you into a lot of trouble. But really, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown here on the crafted spears. So I've already lost 1 bit of durability in my spear. You can see its condition has gone down to like 80% or so is how I would describe it. So we're going to do this guy now. We lost another tick of durability already, so we're all the way down to like 55% on that particular crafted spear. best way to make good use of spears is to make sure that your zombies are all clumped up next to each other like this. So when they're on their own, they have the higher ability to do the head stab animation. The head stab animation like that is a very long animation, and it'll lock you in place, especially if you don't have a high skill. Dismantle this watch. So yeah, that's really the basics of it, frankly. They wear out quickly. The higher your maintenance skill and the higher your spear skill, the better it'll be. You have to be really careful to avoid long animations, and it uses durability on knives when you craft them. So yeah. You can also do it with planks. You don't have to use the tree branches that I used. You can definitely do it with planks. But it's a very powerful. It's a very powerful weapon because it's renewable. Unlike basically everything else in the game, crafted weapons are renewable. And unlike the crafted axe, the crafted knife, and the crafted hammer, you don't need stones to craft a spear. You just, well, you sort of do. You can use stones to make the knife and then use the knife to craft the spear. But basically you can get a lot more spears out of it just by having planks that you've cut down trees and gotten. So there's a lot of ability. You can just go off into the wilderness with foraging, forage up some stones, make yourself an axe, make yourself a knife out of stones, make some crafted spears, and there you go. You have a pretty good weapon if you know how to use it. I would definitely suggest practicing with spears before you really start using them a lot. It takes practice. But when you get further on into playthrough, especially high strength, high fitness, high maintenance, there we go, there our crafted spear already broke. So I'm going to go ahead and equip the other one. When you get the levels up high enough, it's much more rewarding. But you have to get there, of course. So that's spears. We'll go ahead and work our way through until this second spear breaks. Then I'll figure out something else interesting to teach you. Or we'll just carry on with killing zombies for the rest of the day. I guess I'll have to decide then. Alright, you two. If you could be next to each other, that would be good. There you go. Normally you don't want them next to each other, but with spears, you do. Because of how long that particular animation is. Oop. Missed a stab there. I'm actually surprised how long this crafted spear is holding out. You can make it last a little bit longer by putting a knife or something on the end of it, but typically that's not really worth it. You're much better off saving the resources because in order to put the thing on the end of the spear, you have to use duct tape. And duct tape is not renewable. Okay. Duct tape can be renewable because you can get it from foraging, but predominantly duct tape is non-renewable. That's the right way to think about it. So basically, crafted spears with something on the end of it, not worth it. Also, we got to level up, which means because of the mod that we now have the decimating crafted spear. It means it's going to take it even longer to break, I'm sure, and it'll do more damage. Something we don't really need. Wow, it's still so busy in this hotel. Yeah, even though we got the full durability boost, it's still not going to last very long. Crafted spears, even when you're max level, crafted spears don't last very long. It's just the way it is. And it makes sense, you know. They can't make them too overpowered. They really are quite strong. The fact that you can just make them basically anywhere with very little resources makes them a very strong option. Alright. Just a couple of more here. This spear, I'm sure it'll break before it gets its next Vorpal Weapons upgrade. And then we'll have to decide what we're going to do next with our time. Well, you may as well continue working in this area. These guys are sufficiently spread apart that I'm pretty comfortable with this. But I also have notably high spears level. Oh, there we go. And our spear has broken. And just like that, that's how spears work. Always a good thing to keep in mind. Come on, fall over. You don't really need a weapon to fight zombies unless there's more than two. If there's two zombies, you can almost always get the upper hand unless you're like seriously injured or something. But fighting without weapons is definitely possible in the game. It's challenging because you have to be very careful. Like it's kind of like sprinters in a way, you know. You have to be careful not to put yourself in a situation that you can't win. And so for me, like right now, I pulled these two zombies, but I didn't pull that third one over there on the left. So this is how unarmed combat would work. I'm gonna push him down. He's on the ground. I'm gonna push this guy on top of him. Oh, it didn't work. The other one got back up. Okay. Now he's on the ground. Now they're both on the ground, so I stand on this one, and I push the one that's still up. See? While I'm standing on this one, he can't get up. Then I stomp on him. And you just repeat. It's pretty slow. It's much better to use a weapon, of course. But you don't need to use a weapon if you only pull two zombies at a time. Alright, well, back to the crowbar. We'll do some more work here. Done a lot of talking already today. It's time to do some fighting. One of the good things about the crowbar that you may not realize is that it has a high chance of knocking the zombie down when you hit them. So many weapons, when you hit them, you can't really reliably get them to fall over. However, with the crowbar, and with, I think, similar weapons, because I believe it comes down to weight, I could be wrong, many weapons, the zombies just aren't going to fall down when you hit them. But with the crowbar, that's one of the reasons the crowbar is quite good. Apart from being extremely durable, it has a high probability of knocking the zombies over. And knocking the zombies over can be very helpful when you're fighting a large group. Like a lot of the times that I've ended up running around town with an enormous train of zombies following me is because, or crowbar would be useful in those cases to knock people down and get them split up. A split up group of zombies, you can do it by walking away. They'll just naturally split up, basically. But you can also split them up by knocking them down. Because, like that one right there, that one's on the ground. So if I was walking backwards, he would be staggered and he would be delayed behind the other zombies. So it's a pretty good thing to use to your advantage. Drop off some of this stuff that's broken that I don't need. Eat a quick acorn for lunch. How's it looking inside of this this apartment complex? This is a apartment complex with a garage, a parking garage on the bottom floor. That's why it looks so weird. It doesn't really look like an apartment building because it's a parking garage at the bottom. I have to be careful too. We killed these zombies somewhat recently, so they could be fake dead. Something to be aware of. Maybe we'll go down here and we'll clear out the furnishing store. Knock, knock. I'd like to buy a furniture set. Any mid-century modern furniture here in this furnishing store? Not really. It's very 90s. Which makes sense because this is the 90s. It's in the back. It's in the back here. More furniture. I hear a zombie. I think. Yeah, I do. Not sure where. They might be outside. Or they could be in this bathroom. Let's find out. Not in the bathroom. Alright, they're banging on a door. Where did they find... Oh. Maybe in here? Why can't I see them? Are there windows? Oh, there are windows here. They're covered up by the vines. Okay. So there's a window here, and there's a zombie banging on it from the outside. That's alright. We'll go take care of them. The vines from the 10 years later mod is a lot. Can really throw off your knowledge. Because you really can't see what there is to see. It's all covered up with leaves. Like, I thought there were literally no windows in that wall because the vines, but the vines block your visibility, which makes sense. That's how vines work. Just makes it more challenging. Which is part of what makes the mod good. I think we've been inside this little store before. Maybe not, though. It's a bunch of bakers. Alright, come on outside. I prefer to fight outdoors, as you might know. If you don't know, you're about to find out. I hope you baked some good pastries. I'm gonna go and browse what you've got for sale right after I finish taking care of you guys. I do not need any more cigarettes. Although we do need to take care of our anxiety. Speaking of cigarettes. I think we're safe. I'm gonna back out and let this guy come out to me. This guy's got a black apron. Fancy. Money. Alright, what do you got for sale? Nothing? Coffee, sugar, those are nice. Rotten uncooked steak. I'm not eating here. I got rotten steak. They didn't even cook the rotten steak first. Which reminds me, something we need to do eventually when we get around to leveling up our cooking skills some more, is I can go around the mall and I can collect all the rotten meat, and we can cook the rotten meat. I'm probably not going to do that until we get a generator set up, which, you know, coincidentally, we don't have a generator set up this particular playthrough. We've already gone 2 months and 4 days in, and because of foraging, the powers of foraging, we haven't had to worry at all about food, even though the power's been off since well before day one. All the food was rotten day one. So, you don't really need to worry too much about the power going off, or the water going off for that matter. I see you up there. It all comes down to taking things slow a lot of times. We're not going to go down there. That seems like a bad idea. Yeah, taking things slow. There's no reason to rush. You don't really need a generator. It would be nice. I'd love to have a generator so I could have the lights on, have a stove, cook up some rotten meat, I guess. But you don't really need it. Here I am surviving just fine. 8x population. I think there's someone on that window. I'm not opening those doors. All right, so this whole furniture store is clear. This whole place is clear. I think we checked everywhere inside of there. So good. We cleared this all out. Let's deal with that anxiety. Well, friends, there are a lot of tips and tricks in the game. There's a lot of stuff that you don't really learn unless you play a lot or go researching for it. So hopefully today's episode, kind of focusing more on explaining what it is that I'm doing and why, although I do try to do that pretty often. Hopefully that's helped you out a little bit. I would love to know that I've made the game more interesting, more in-depth for you. I think that there is an enormous amount of depth to this game, and basically the enjoyment that there is to be had with how deep and thorough the game is, it really isn't intuitive. You know, unless you know, you're not going to know things about just how interesting the late game can be in this. A lot of people, they start up the game and with the normal like apocalypse scenario where all the power is still on and all the water is still on, and then you have to go through the narrative of escaping and getting food and everything, which is great. That's a great way. It's a great narrative. It's a great way to play. But there's a lot of things in the game beyond that early start where you're just hunkered down inside of a little house trying not to get spotted by the zombies and so on. So there's a lot more out there. Car stuff is cool. Cooking stuff is cool. The crafting and the building stuff is all cool. And yeah, I hope you give it a shot or have a good time, or maybe I hope you learned something. At the end of the day, I hope you have fun. Thanks a lot, friends. See you another time.